city is so overlaid with images. When you look at walls and you look at spaces, the way images overlay with graffiti, with political party slogans, with corporate advertising, the dreams of these beautiful, villas and apartment blocks, which kind of offer these idyllic dreams to people. I mean, that's all those different layers of aspirations, frustrations, issues, kind of all come together in an urban visual space, don't they?
Consumerism coming up has actually changed what you see on the walls. Consumerism was something we never really came across. So I can't even tell you what we saw. Probably advertising of things that were very low-cost products.
On some levels, it's actually preferable to the mass media. A simple wall painting is much less intrusive. It molds into the existing space rather than alter the existing space completely, which is what billboards do.
I wonder if that sort of advertising really works anymore, because palmists who used to use graffiti are using these small Urdu channels to get their message because they get it cheap.
Luqmani Manjan is not going to make a mass-produced television campaign, not in the near future anyway. So I think because it's for the small man, the underdog if you like, that's another positive aspect of commercial graffiti. In fact, it's linked to a tradition. The sign painters are also trained in calligraphy, that is their training. So it's rooted in our culture with the respect for words, with the love of calligraphy.
The classic thing to teach in art school is the Bauhaus, which is all less is more. It's asymmetrical, it's balanced very differently. Often the posters are vertical.
Design sense we have as Pakistanis, complete use of space is extremely important to us. Instead of leaving out white space as Western design principles teach us, we have to fill everything up. It's not just in posters or graffiti, it happens across the board in everything. If we get a plot of land to build a house, we build it wall to wall. The whole space is utilized in that sense.
Just look at an Urdu newspaper. Very few photographs, and all of it is text, and it's read column by column with the text.
Hierarchy is used from the big text to smaller, 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 and then it becomes like a postscript in the end.
They found the Parthenon and the Pantheon in Rome, these elegant Greek buildings with geometric design, and they said, well, we have this because we can think logically. And these Asians, they have bright gaudy colors and they're filled with text or filled with all over Islamic patterns like this. So they have a horror vacui. They can't let the pure geometry of the piece speak for itself. And there's this sort of biased Orientalist concept. Some people subscribe to it still in this day and age.
I think most of us use the Persian script, which is Nastaliq.
This was developed in Iran in the 13th century by Mir Ali Tabrizi, and the legend goes that he saw letters transform into stalks. So he invented this script by merging two existing scripts, Naskh and Ta'liq, and it's a very sort of slanting, cursive, elegant script, and it's the script of choice for the Persian-speaking Muslim world. We tend to find the Lahori Nastaliq more, it's a prettier style and the calligraphers prefer it. Lahori Nastaliq by Ustad Nafis al-Hussaini, who was a great Ustad in Lahore, a traditional Ustad. Here's another example of Lahori Nastaliq, and it's by the great Ustad Parveen Raqam. The sign painters seem to prefer it. And this is Ustad Yusuf Dehlvi's Nastaliq, the Dehlvi style. And as you can see, it's more vertical. It's not as slanted, and it's not as the letters aren't as thin as in the Lahori Nastaliq. This is one which we are all familiar with because this is on our currency notes, Bank Daulat Pakistan and so on. That's Ustad Yusuf Dehlvi's work.
And it's not only graffiti, but people even put text on cars, like they'll put their name, like Sohail on their Suzuki, done with sort of like this sort of trippy letters, and I'm the best, and I love that. And it's always, I always sort of like turn around and read it.
मुझे हमेशा वो रक्शे का वो हमेशा पीछे लिखा हुआ बड़ा फैसिनेट करता है कि मैं बड़ा होके करोला बनूंगा, रक्शे के पीछे जब ये लिखा हो। या एक टैक्सी को मैंने एक बार दरवाजे को खोला तो दरवाजे पे लिखा था बराए करम मुझे आहिस्ता खोलें। तो मतलब ये पहली बार मैंने किसी दरवाजे की फीलिंग्स को शायद सेंटेंस में पढ़ा होगा। तो उसके बाद मैं हमेशा कभी भी कोई टैक्सी का दरवाज़ा या अपनी गाड़ी का दरवाज़ा खोलता हूँ तो मुझे लगता है कि वाकई में ये खुद कह रही है और ये शायद फीमेल है जो मुझे कह रही है कि बराए करम मुझे आहिस्ता खोलें।
You don't sell your own city, nobody else will. Export of culture is very important. It's marketing your own brand, your own city. I Love Karachi is a partnership with anybody who can make use of it in the right way. It's something to do with progressive culture, service industries, tourism. It's also an urban thing. Street culture, pop culture, they don't start in kheti badis and subterranean Idaho homes, you know? No. Even Bob Dylan moved from Minnesota to New York, right?
It's all grammar school. I mean, come on, if you're going to do I Love Karachi, do it in a language that, you know, all of Karachi can. Do you know, there's an issue there.
When you roam around the Zamzama and defense areas and Clifton areas, you see graffiti which is like sort of devil voodoo-ish or like sometimes Satanish. I can't pinpoint it, why it's there, but it also has connotations of this, again, the silent rage, you know. You see a lot of abuses as well related to certain people written there on the wall, you know, which are very, 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 very English and very, very upmarket. So you can't really say it's like the common man's opinion. It's the elite man there too, or the elite offspring.
There's one thing about being destitute and being so upset and angry that you come out and you write all of this stuff on the walls. There's another thing about coming from incredibly privileged stock, then feeling abused, and then going out in a very poor country and destroying somebody else's wall.
I Love Karachi is not a new idea. It's a 30-year-old idea. Came out of New York, 77. Perhaps for Karachi, in 2007, it was an appealing idea to put up something like that because there was so much nonsense going on in the streets. Somewhere along the line, there was a state of emergency in the country. All this happened while this I Love Karachi thing was going on, meaning I was graffitiing it on the walls. I wanted to be part of the people who had something to say about the situation.
I would consider it not really resistance art, but expressing one's point of view in a kind of, I would say, cowardly fashion. Because you're not really saying it out loud, you're writing it in a secretive way and leaving it for other people to see.
And then you have this strange sort of pop art which is fading away, where the artist is painting film canvases, you know. It's normally a very voluptuous woman which is there. Of course, it has sexual connotations, you know, because the male-female relationship is there in all films prevalent in the subcontinent. It's irrespective of the language.
The movies are based on stereotypes. But having said that, it's something that I'm very aware of, that the real champion of women has been Pakistani cinema, more than any other women's movement. And the cinema, the story actually finds the human being in the prostitute, in the, the wife, the harangued working woman.
There's a lot of aggression undertones in these films, you know, because it's the macho man trying to save the day or save the lady at the end of the day, you know. So those little fantasies are out there for you to like have a field day on, you know.